Sorry, the recording was not started now. I just started it. Yeah, I thought it was recording, but I couldn't see that recording. Okay, so hopefully you guys got the idea with the words. Then, if we go to the next point, then we have the letter. So, letters is again the smallest part of the whole information building blocks where you use letters to create words, right? So letters are like little shapes that come together in form to form different sounds. So when we write something, we use letters to represent a specific sound. That is how the language is built. අපි සිංහලෙන් අකුරක් ලියනකොට අපි අයන්න ලිව්වොත් අපි ඒකට ආ කියලා කියනවා. If we write A in English, that means we produce that A sound because of the letters. So in the following slides, we'll learn what type of sounds and data points are there. So every time when there's a letter, that forms a different sound. So just like how you put letters to spell your name, this can be combined to create other words as we know as well. So learning alphabetic is basically like learning the key to understanding or unlocking the entire world of information which is available to your fingertips. Okay, so numbers. So we talked about words, letters, and then we have the specific character type called numbers. Numbers are special building blocks that helps us understand and describe a specific quantity. In simple terms, these are quantities, right? So they tell us how many or how much of something we have, and numbers are like magic codes that allow us to count, measure, or solve problems. So let's say geolocation. Geolocation is being created using the longitude and latitude, right? So these are two numbers where you have two numbers in front. Sorry, it's kind of like a float where you can have about up to 18 decimal points, and where you will use that to map the entire world. So the entire globe is mapped using the GPS coordinates so that it will basically let us quantify something. So let's say if you want to take the distance from your home to your hometown, then that's basically like you want to quantify it, right? What you want to do is you're trying to quantify and understand what that particular distance is. So in simple terms, numbers are being used to describe a specific quantity. And obviously, it helps us to do the mathematical part so that we can understand all the physics and what is around us. So, perfect. Next one. Then we have the images. So, images are visual building blocks of information where it's like a simple picture where we keep and store at a specific location. So let's say now I know you guys should have seen what we see. So these are like Polaroid pictures. So when it comes to a Polaroid camera, what it does is immediately when you take a picture, it will print the Polaroid paper out from the camera itself, and it will give you the Polaroid photo. So it's basically an instant photo. So why do you do that? A picture is basically a way you will store a memory, right? So it's easier to have a specific set of information. Let's say you go on a trip and you to take some pictures, and you're going to save that. So that particular set of pictures will stay with you. And every time when you go through those pictures, it will help you understand and remember what you did at that particular location. So that will automatically help you keep a specific set of information saved. But remember, so the picture doesn't save any information. The picture is just going to be a picture, but the information will be saved in your mind or in your brain memory, so that when you see or when you take a look at the picture, automatically your mind will go back to that old memory and bring you the activities or the memories you did at that point. Okay, so that is how the pictures work. So we use images to see and remember things better, as well as just like how a photograph captures the moments, help us visualize and understand information in a fun and colorful way. So that's about images. And then sounds. Sounds තමයි තියෙන ලොකුම information stream එක ඉස්සර ඉඳලම තිබුණා. දැන් අවුරුදු ගානකට කලින්, so if we go back to like about 25 years, give or take, before we had all these high-end TVs and all, people were like mainly hooked into radio. So that was one of the most popular and stable information streams you had, so that you can get some information from the radio channel and communicate and share that. So sounds. Sounds are another building block of information that we use to communicate and understand the world. The world. So now here at this point, we are communicating. So I'm delivering this lecture to you guys through the sound, through the sounds which is being transmitted through the internet using the platform Zoom. Simple as that. So how you guys get the information is you guys can see the picture so that you can understand what is I'm explaining. At the same time, the sound is being traveled. So it's being captured from my headset, from my earpods, and it's transmitted through the Bluetooth interface, through the Zoom app, through the internet to your device, and you can hear it. So that's one of the most stable transmission mediums of information, so that we can make sure that it's clear and loud. So they can be loud, soft, or high, or low. And also we use sounds to talk, listen to music, and even make funny noise, right? So obviously you can't imagine a world without sounds, right? It will be very quiet, and obviously it's going to be extremely boring, right? So and then we have the final type, which is symbols. So symbols goes back couple of thousand years, right? So when in early days, people didn't had any way of communicating. In the sense, people had their own languages and their own ways of communicating, but they wanted to store information. But they were in a primitive stage, so they did not know how to do it properly, right? So what they did was they used symbols. So as we know, we have different types of symbols, which goes back centuries, thousands of years, where people use them to carve out and try to save some data. Right? Basically, now if we go back to Stone Ages, we know that the early stages of man, what they did was like when they went on a hunting party, or when they did something great, what they did was they try to draw that on a cave wall, or try to convert it into a language using symbols. So that is where the symbols came up to be. But now symbols represent something else. So everything falls under the symbol category, but now symbols are actually something different, where it will obviously used to kind of navigate the world based on a certain set of meaning. In the sense now, example, traffic lights. So traffic lights uses different colors and different shapes so that it can tell drivers to be careful and it can warn drivers with specific warnings based on the displaying symbol. For an example, now, if you go to a pedestrian crossing, you guys should be able to see the pedestrian sign, which is usually if you can cross, obviously, that will glow as in green. And if you cannot cross, then of course, it's going to glow as in red. So that means it basically gives you a meaning just by using that symbol, that small man, walking man, you get the idea that, okay, now I'm clear to walk. No, I'm not okay. This is not okay. I'm not clear to walk. Likewise. Okay. So wherever we go, we see a lot of symbols. So now just think how much data and how much information we consume each and every day when we go on a walk, or let's say when you go when you students go to school. During that particular traveling part, how much data will you be consuming, or how much information you are going to process by your brain just by using symbols? It's like millions and trillions of information, right? Okay, so I hope you know what the symbols are as well. Then we jump to the next point, which is going to be the life cycle of data. Okay, so we are getting back to the contents. So we went through the overview on what data is, and now we are getting into the life cycle of data. Okay, so what is this so-called thing called a life cycle? Life cycle. Okay, when it comes to data, there's a specific life cycle that should go in couple of stages. So data is like a story that goes through different stages, and just like we do in our lives. So understanding this particular life cycle can help us make sense of how data is created, used, and also managed, right? So let's dive deep into this and we'll see what this is. So first point, data begins with create. So somebody need to create what is so-called data, right? Okay. So what do we mean by creating data? Just like when we start a project, sorry, just like we start a project or take a picture, data is created when information is captured or recorded. Okay. So it can be in forms of text, images, videos, or even in sounds. And for an example, if you take a selfie or write a message on social media, that means you are creating data. අපි ගිහලා Facebook එකේ දානවා අද දවස හරිනේ අද මං කෑගෙන අද මට බඩගිනිනේ නැත්තම් අද මට මූඩ් එකක් අද අරයා මට මෙහෙම කිව්වා නැත්තම් බල්ලගේ ෆොටෝ එකක් දානවා බල්ලව නෑවුවා නැත්තම් කාර් එකේ ෆොටෝ එකක් දානවා කාර් එකේ so all those falls under the same category, right? So you create data so that it will belongs to a specific information set. දැන් ඔයා ෆොටෝ එකක් ගැහුවා කියමු හරි මෙහෙම හිතන්න ක්‍රියේෂන් අපි Facebook එකේ ගිහලා selfie එකක් ගහලා අප්ලෝඩ් කරනවා. So that means you create a specific data point, right? අපි කියමු අපි ගාල්ලේ ගිහලා හොඳ selfie එකක් ගහලා හොඳ දැන් දානවා කොල්ල සෙට් එකයි ඔක්කොම හොත් එක දානවා ෆොටෝ එක. දැන් ෆොටෝ එක දැම්මම මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? What? So you upload this photo into Facebook. ඕක මිනිස්සු ඇවිල්ලා ඔන්නෝකට ලයික් දානවා ඕක බලනවා ඔක්කොමලා full interaction එකක් යනවා. හැබැයි just think about the memory. දැන් මේ memory එක ගැන හිතන්න. Who has the background of that memory. Only you have it, right? And api hitamu naththam, so you go there with couple of friends, then obviously you tag them, and then of course they also know where this photo was taken, and they also have the context. But that is okay for them. Let's see if I, so other way around, if I see that picture on Facebook, for me, it's just data, right? Unless you mention where you went to, with whom you are, and tag the location, and at the correct date and time, then at least if we have these four factors, then I have the capacity to convert that into information. Otherwise, I will not be able to convert it because it's going to be just raw data. Okay. ඒකේ context එකක් දාලා තිබුණ නැත්නම් background එකක් තිබුණ නැත්නම් මට නිකම්ම නිකන් data ටිකක්. මොකද මම පිටේ ඉඳන් බලන කෙනෙක්. හැබැයි මම ඒකේ දාලා තිබ්බොත් context දැන් කියමු ඔයා දාලා තියෙනවා enjoying a good time in උඩවටුන with my best friend කියලා photo එකක් දාලා. So then, and you tag all your best friends as well, the people who are in the photo. Then of course that is information. ඔයා photo එකක් විතරක් දැම්මොත් that is just data. And hope you guys, hope it's clear. One questions තියෙනවා නම් message එකක් දාන්න chat එකක් උඩ දාන්න, no problem. I can explain it back again. Okay. Perfect. Then we'll go to the storage part. When we have data, the data has to be stored at some point, right? So in simple terms, data has to be stored so that it can be accessed again. කොහේ හරි දැන් හිතන්න මොකක් හරි දුන්නාම ඔයා ඒක ලියනවා කොලයක් කරගෙන. So that is storage. නැත්නම් photo එකක් ගන්නවා. When you take a picture, automatically that picture is being saved into your mobile's memory. That means it is going to be stored. That means it's using storage. Okay. So think of storage as a digital home for data. So it can be saved on a computer, on a cloud server, or even on a physical device like as a hard drive. If you take a DSLR camera, api photo ek gattama api ek save karනවා, we have this memory chip. So when you take a picture, that picture will be saved into the memory chip. Simple as that. About 20 years ago, we had these huge handheld recorders where we added this cassette tape. So back then, it was recorded into cassette tape. Even back then, we had this huge 30mm tape where they rotated the tape manually, where it got the video got recorded into the tape, and the sound was also recorded into another tape. And when they want to show that as a movie, they played the video and the sound in two different players. So the video was there and the sound was playing separately. I know you guys have never seen this, but long time ago, when I was small, when we go to watch these movies, sometimes you have a problem where the sound won't sync. Sound එක්ක movie එක කලින් යනවා පද්දේ පස්සෙන් එනවා. නැත්නම් පද්දේ කලින් යනවා movie එක පස්සෙන් එනවා. ඔක ඉතින් නටලා they managed to sync it together. Now we don't have that type of technology anymore in the world, and we don't have that because now everything is digital. But my point is, now back in the day, when we are storing something, we had to use different mediums as well to store that. So anyway, we'll get back to the storage section. So storage keeps the data safe in and accessible so that we can use it for later. So it's like having a memory box where you keep all your photos and mementos. So memory boxes is also something which we had long time ago, where we had this small biscuit or cookie boxes. Danut තියෙනවා biscuit පෙට්ටි තියෙන්නේ. ඔය බිස්කට් පෙට්ටියක් අරගෙන ඒකට දානවා ඔක්කොම ෆොටෝස් ටික. ෆොටෝස් ටික දානවා. We put postcard, වෙසක් card, New Year cards, birthday cards, and photos. We put everything into one box. So it's called a memory box. ඒක ඇතුලේ තමයි අපි ඔක්කොම තියෙන අන්තිමට වල ෆොටෝස් ඇවිලා නම් මනම් කරනවා ඔක අන්තිමට සවුත් වෙනවා. but එහෙම එකක තමයි ඉස්සර memories ටික save කරලා හිටියේ. That's what is called a memory box. So then I hope storage is okay. You guys understood what storage is. Then we'll get to the processing part. So this is the most important and the interesting part. So processing is like when we work on a project or use our creativity. So data must go through this stage to be transformed and analyzed. It might evolve into software, it can evolve into algorithms or even our own thinking to make sense of the information. For example, when you edit a photo or analyze survey results, you're processing data. In simple terms, මම වෙන විදිහකට කියන්නේ. දැන් processing කියන්නේ අපි හිතමු මම අර කලින් එක example එකේ වගේ අපි Facebook එකට photo එකක් දානවා. So you upload a picture to the Facebook. And then let's say you use some sort of a third-party plugin to create a gallery. You have this Facebook plugins where you can create Facebook galleries or Facebook collages. So when you create that, that means you take that specific information, you take the specific data set and you process it so that it will transform into information. ඉතින් මෙහෙම එකක්. දැන් මම අර අපේ trip example එක ගමුකෝ. So ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලන් trip එකක් යනවා. So you guys are going on a road trip. Starting from Gaul, you go to starting from Hikkadu, you go to Gaul, you go to Navatuna, and then you go to Matara, and you do a full down south road trip. When you upload this picture, ඉතින් ඔය pictures ටික ඔයා ඔක්කොම ටික දැන් හොඳට road trip එක දාලා දැන් Facebook එකේ upload කරනවා. මම අර කලින් කිව්වා වගේ data points map කරලා නැත්නම්, if you have not mentioned where it was taken, with whom it was taken, when it was taken, and the location. I mean, if a location is tagged, let's say if it is at a hotel or at a specific location. Matara යාළුවොත් එක්ක උදේ මාතර බීච් එකේ නැත්තම් බීච් හොටල් එකේ එහෙම data set එක. එහෙම එකක් tag කරලා නැත්තම්, as I told you before, that photo is just going to fall as into the category as just data because there is no value in that picture, right? So what you can do is now you can take that picture and take all the pictures of that tree, and then you have the option of creating a collage. ඔයාට පුළුවන් මේ photos ඔක්කොම අරගෙන එක collage එකක් හදන්න. අන්න collage එකේ ඔයා දානවා first day we started at Hikkadu morning, Hikkadu beach, Hikkadu diving, and then you go to Gaul. So you, with a timeline, you create the photos and you kind of make a nice collage using all those pictures. Then what did you do? So what you did was you took all the data, you processed it, and you converted it into a set of information. So when I take a look at when I take a look at that particular collage image, then I can get a clear idea. අම්මට තේරි මාර ට්‍රිප් එකක් දාලානේ. උන් මෙතන ගියා, මේකේ දැක්කා, මෙතන ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා, උන් උදේ ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ දවල්ට කාලා තියෙන්නේ. මෙතනින් ඇට කාලා තියෙන්නේ. මෙතන මේ මාරු ෆුල්වියෝ ටිකක් එක ෆොටෝ එකක් දාලා තියෙනවා. ඔයකොම බීච් එකේ එන හැපනින් මාතර මාරුනේ අරකයි මේකයි ඔහොම දැන් මේ මුළු අයිඩියා එකම now you put into a single information set. Okay, So obviously, data needs to be processed in order for it to be converted as information. Okay, so this particular information should have another point where the data process should be able to share with others or communicable. Communicable in the sense, communicate කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ ඒ data stream. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ හිතන්නකෝ. Now, once data set එක හදනවා. දැන් ඔයයි collage එක හැදුවා කියමු. ඔයයි collage එක හදලා ඔයයි collage එක binary base 64 base 64 algorithm එකකට convert කරනවා. හරි. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? දැන් මේ data set එක communicate කරන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් ඒක මට පේනවා. My example එකට පෙන්නන්නම් අපිට යන්න පුළුවන්. So you can go to a website called convert images to base 64. Okay, I'll show you guys how this works. So if we take this and let's download a picture as well. So we'll go to Unsplash. Sorry, we'll go to Unsplash and let's take this picture. අපි දැන් මේ picture එක ගත්තොත් so this is some data, right? අපි දන්නේ නැහැ මේකේ context එක මොකක්ද කියලා. මේක process කරලා නැහැ. It's just some data. හරි. අපි මෙන්න මේ image එක අරගමු. I'm just going to take a screenshot of this. Okay. දැන් මේක අරගෙන we take this image. Now you guys can see that the screenshot was saved. Okay. Now we'll go back and we'll go back to our base 64 analyzer, sorry, converter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this image and convert it to base 64. It says it's too big. Okay, අපි ඒක පොඩි කරමු. We'll make the image smaller. So it's 1.8 megabytes. So we'll make the image small. So still this is data, right? තාම data හැටියට තියෙනවා. හරි, මම මේක download කරා. I download this image and I put this into my database. Okay, I'm just going to, sorry, my desktop, and I'm just going to replace this. Then බලමු මේක කොහොමද අරගන්නේ කියලා. Now let's convert දැන් මේක තාම තියෙන data හැටියට, right? You guys can see that this is still an image, but this is also data. දැන් මම මේක මෙයා කරාම convert කරාම now you guys can see I'll increase the screen size. So when I converted this image into this so-called base 64, we will obviously go through base 64 and these things when we are getting into number systems and application building. So I will teach you guys how to convert these and how to do the binary calculation and so on and so forth. But for now, I'm just trying to show you two different versions. So now this is actually the image, but converted into the base 64 into a base 64 string. So if I copy this now, and if I open a new tab, and if I paste this in the URL of the tab, now you guys can see that my Chrome browser was able to convert this particular string. මේ තියෙන string එක, මේ තියෙන text part එක මගේ browser එකට පුළුවන් වුණා convert කරන්න image එක. හරි. So the point I wanted to tell you guys is this is also data, right? So අපි හිතන්න එපා දැන් මේ image එක විතරයි data නෙමෙයි. මේකත් මේ image එක data තමයි. හරි. But then again, this is also data. But the problem is we can't read this. අපිට කියවන්න බෑ මේක. හැබැයි computer එකට කියවන්න පුළුවන්. Computer එකේ මේක අපි browser එකක render කරොත් කියවන්න පුළුවන්. Otherwise if we try to open this, if we copy paste this as a string into a Python script, and if we render that particular Python script as an image, then automatically Python is also able to convert this particular base64 string. Python වලටත් පුළුවන් මේ base64 string එක convert කරන්න image එක. So this will be reflected as an image. So we'll get back to the sharing and communicable part. So once data is processed and ready, it's time to share with each other. And the sharing can be simple as sending a message to a friend or as complex as publishing a research paper. මේ තියෙන data කොහොම හරි අපිට human readable විදියට යන්නේ. And also we have the option of sharing the data through social media, emails, or any other platform so that we can share it with others as well. So data කියන එක හදලා ඒක process කරලා පස්සේ obviously ඒක open කරලා communicable විදියට තියෙන්න ඕනේ. So remember that is the most important point when it comes to data. නැත්තම් දැන් හිතමු අපි image එක හැදුවා කියලා. What's the point of having that without, if you don't have the capacity to share it with someone else? දැන් මේ photo එක ගත්ත මනුස්සයට මේක ගිහලා කාත් එක්කවත් මේක කාටවත් පෙන්නන්න බැරි නම් මේ photo එකේ ඇත්තට value එකක් නැහැ. දැන් මේ ගත්ත කෙනා අනිවාර්යෙන් ගිහලා කියයි මම මෙතන ඉඳන් ගත්තේ, මෙන්න මේ location එකේ ගත්තේ, මෙහෙම කියලා data set එකක් තියෙනවා. She will be able to tell somebody that I took this photo at this XYZ location during this particular time while I was going to go on surfing. Simple as that, right? Okay. So okay. So I hope that point is clear. We'll get to the next slide. And then we have the usage. So data is going to be used and to put to good use. Basically. So just like when we use our skills or knowledge to accomplish a task, data is utilized to either solve problems, make decisions, or to gain insights. ඔයගලගේ data වලට මොකද වෙන්නේ Facebook එකට දැම්මා. ඕක ගොඩක් අය දන්නේ නැති ප්‍රශ්නයක්. So when you put or when you upload something to Facebook or Instagram or to Twitter or to any of the social platforms in the world, if you have gone through their terms and conditions, you can see, you should have seen that whatever you upload into a social media platform is not going to belong to you. So let's say if you are a good high-end pro level photographer, you are going to take some nice pictures and you will upload that into Facebook. The instant when you upload that picture, that photo belongs to Facebook. Unless you put your whatever the watermark and the details, you can literally, anybody can say that is property of Facebook. So ඇයි අපිට මේ Facebook මෙච්චර ආදරේ? Facebook ඇයි මේ කියන්නේ photos දාන්න, why don't you post a story today, why don't you tell about your trip? Now I'm sure they have changed the algorithms, but when Facebook was released many years ago, like during the early Facebook application stages, these buggers, so those days we didn't have this type of let's say this type of restrictions when it comes to the app. So everything was like pretty much open out. මං කියන්නේ ගොඩ කාලෙක ඉස්සෙල්ලා නෙවෙයි. මං කියන්නේ 2013 2012 2013 වගේ කාලේ. ඒ කාලේ when you, if your Facebook app is active and if you go to a location, this app will send you a pop-up and it will ask you how was the location and will ask you to rate or confirm that you have been there. Massive security threat, but back in the day, we were not concerned about that much because who knows, it's just a social platform. So we never knew that Facebook was capturing all those smallest data points. Now, after almost 10 years, these guys have gone into a huge organization where they have so much of data about people's behavior, age, what you do in your specific ages, and people based on different types of ethnicity, different types of countries, different types of religions, and different types of cars. Facebook has a complete data set of all the people to categorize and sell their ads. That's the end goal. What they do is they ask you to provide more information so that they can provide you with more advertisements. So the reason I'm explaining this is you need to put data to use, right? Another example, Facebook හොඳට monitor කරලා දැන් හිතන්න මෙහෙම දෙයක් you go into Facebook or you just go to any platform and you search about a specific product. ඔය මොකමල්ල දාන්නකෝ Google ම ගන්නකෝ Google එකේ ගිහිල්ලා search කරන්න මොකක් හරි specific product එකක් සපත්තු දෙකක් or a specific perfume or some sort of a brand or just a simple DJ card. Obviously, there's like 99% chance next time when you go to Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever the social network, you might see an advertisement related to that search you did in the morning or been couple of days ago. අපි දන්නේ කොච්චර ඔක වැඩ කරනවද කියලා අපිට ළඟදී වුණා මේ වගේ දෙයක් Facebook එකේ we were discussing something on WhatsApp. I searched this on Google but couldn't find any like related documents to back this up. But I promise that we had a discussion about a specific topic related to the business, and that was on WhatsApp closed group. So we had a discussion in one of our directors groups about purchasing something to our office. Next day in the morning, when I opened Facebook, I started seeing an advertisement of that specific item which we discussed to purchase. So මේගොල්ලන් කියනවා data leak කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. Facebook say that they don't leak the data, but I'm 1000% sure I never searched that on Facebook. And I never searched that name on Google even, because we had that discussion previous day night and we were just okay, we finalized the discussion and we went to sleep. That's it. I personally didn't search on anything. ඉතින් බලන්න කොහොමද track කරන්නේ කියලා. Obviously they might be tracking your WhatsApp usage as well. We never know. So that's data, right? So the putting that to good use is then එදා රෑ අපි කතා කරලා හරි okay අපි මේක ගමු කියලා හිතාගෙන ඉඳාගෙන අනිද්දාට උදේ Facebook එක open කරාම මෙන්න Facebook එකේ මට ad එකක් එනවා මෙන්න product එක. So I was like really motivated and I was hesitant to buy that as well because that was what we discussed, right? So I didn't, of course, like what we got that item into the office, but we didn't buy it from that particular advertisement. We saw that in the morning, but that morning I took a screenshot and sent that to all the directors as well, and we were like really amazed to see that that Facebook got to know what we discussed on WhatsApp. Back කරන්න මොකද resources ඇත්තේ නැහැ because they say that it's end-to-end encrypted and nobody can see the details. කොහොම හරි specific product එකේ නම ගියා. ඉතින් good use. දැන් හිතන්න ඕක දැන් ඒක ටිකක් expensive product එකක් නිසා we made the purchasing choice but not with that particular vendor, right? හැබැයි හිතන්න අනිත් පැත්තට if it is some sort of a cheap, no, I don't say cheap, if it is some sort of a simple product which you can easily buy. Perfume එකක් කියලා ගමු. Perfume එකක් ඔයා මොනවාරි හොය ඉන්නවා. හොයනකොට ටක් ගාලා you get a message from perfume එක saying, okay, we have this and it's going to be a specific price. Obviously, you will make the purchasing decision. Right? ඔන්න life cycle, data life cycle එකේ data හොඳටම පාවිච්චි වෙන point එක. ඉතින් data capture කරනවා and then the data is processed and it's being used to again solve problem. So when the first spaceship went to the moon, they captured all the data points, and based on that data, people still send rockets and people use that particular coordinates based on that initial data set. I hope you guys got a clear idea about the usage part. So when the data is being saved, then obviously it is meant to be used towards accomplishing different tasks and goals. So the last point, archiving and deletion. Now, over time, data obviously becomes less relevant and or outdated. So when this happens, you have two types. Either you can archive, which is archiving is like storing something valuable for future references, or you have the option of completely deleting it so that you can make room for new data. So in archives, we have vast array of different types of archives. So we have data archives, we have libraries, we have digital repositories, we have like big data systems, as well as now we have the blockchain and NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and all these things backing up this particular archiving feature so that you can archive data to be used in a future day, right? So deletion is also something really important because now, for an example, if you take a real world application, අපි ගමු මොකක් කරේ හොඳ real world app එකක් මම ගන්නම් පොඩි example එකකට. If we take a product similar to this, so this is actually a web app which was developed by us. ඉතින් දැන් මේ app එක ගත්තොත් මේ app එකේ තියෙනවා මෙහෙම දෙයක්. මේකේ තියෙනවා login එකයි, we have the basket side and all this information. So you guys can see this is a completely fully functioning website. Now you guys can see that, first of all, your students can see that I'm not logged into the system, right? So I'm not authenticated. I'm not logged in. ඉතින් මම මොකක් හරි cart එකකට දැන් add කරනවා. Okay, so now you guys can see that I got the data set, I added this product to the cart, and this is saved in the database. හරි. දැන් මොකද කරන්නේ? දැන් මේ data set එක වැඩක් තියෙනවා. මේ data set එක වැඩක් නෑ නේද? ඇත්තටම ඉඳලා බලන්නකො දැන් මේක කරේ මම log වෙලත් නෑ. log වෙලා නෑ කියන්නේ I'm not logged into the system. That means, as I told you, explained you guys before, අර photo එකක් අරගෙන context එක දාන්න නෑ වගේ දැන් මම log වෙලා නෑ කියන්නේ that මගේ මේ specific product එක add වුණාට එතන context එකක් නෑ. මේ තියෙන්නේ just another data set. So you can't even process this to convert this as information, right? But what happens if I log in? If I have been, like, if I create an account. So let's see if I create an account. And, okay, what's the password? I can't remember the password. Please go in. Okay, yes, I'm in. Okay, so now I'm logged into the system. Now what happened? Now if I go here and if I add this to the cart, now there's a context, right? Now this cart belongs to me. The මම මේ cart එකට මේක මම add කරේ මම system එකට log වෙලා. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ තියෙන data set එකට දැන් value එකක් ඔන්න මම add වුණා. අර like same as like you go on that trip and you take the selfie and you what you call it you highlight the location and you tag the, like as you tag your friend. So this is the same thing. Photo එකක් ගත්තා වගේ I added this item to the cart, and since I am logged into the system, this particular cart has my user ID. And so this data set is valuable, of course. Why not? Because now then we can use this data to go back and find out how many people have added items to their carts, how many people have not completed the purchase, and let's see, there's a checkout validation, so the order value has to be a minimum of 25 euros. So let me add something more. Still 2, 3, I can't add anymore, right? Yeah, okay, now it's 29, so I go to the checkout page. When then තවත් data set එකක් paste කරා මම කරේ මම අරකට product එක add කරලා ඔන්න මම ගියා checkout page එක. Then checkout page එකට ගියාම this basically shows me some information, right? Then මේ data ටික, now all this data is going to be saved now in the database. I can like if and when we are doing a physical session, I will show you guys how the databases work, but due to this session is going to be shared online, I cannot show you guys databases and how the data is being saved because it's being actually recorded. So otherwise, if we meet up with a physical session, I will obviously take you guys through the database structure as well and show you guys how this database is being done. Anyway, when we get into the web development part, obviously you guys are going to go in a big roller coaster ride where we will learn how to build something like this, at least up to a certain extent. Because in your core, in your curriculum, ඕගලන්ට දීලා තියෙන course structure එකේ තියෙනවා මේ level එකට කෙලින්ම PHP app එකක් develop කරන්න ඕනේ level එකට ඕගලන්ට PHP තියෙනවා. ඒ level නේ. මම ඒකයි කිව්වේ that's the main reason I told you guys at the first lecture as well. If you guys get your A levels done in a proper way, you can immediately start working as a software engineer, at least as an associate software engineer to get this done. Okay, let's get back to the data set. ඉතින් දැන් මේ data set එකේ value එකක් තියෙනවා. හරි. දැන් මොකද මගේ account එක add වුණා. So I added these items to my cart and I'm logged in and this data set has a specific value. But when I signed out and if I try to add, so now I'm logged out again and I'm adding an item to the cart. May data set again. Now in this particular data set, there is no value. May data set එකේ කිසිම value එකක් නැහැ. මොකද ඒකට හේතුව that there is no specific point connected where it will give a value. ඒ කියන්නේ මම අර කලින් වගේ photo එකේ tag වෙලා ඉන්නවා නම් ඒ photo එකට value එකක් තියෙනවා. Location එකක් තියෙනවා නම් value එකක් තියෙනවා. නැත්නම් it's just another picture, just another set of data. මෙතනත් just another set of data. ඉතින් when it comes to enterprise level applications like this, what we do is regularly we delete these entries from our database because we get, like, if we take a platform similar to camera editing, we usually get couple of thousand cards every day, about every day, by just records where people have added items to the cart. දැන් මම මෙතන ගිහිල්ලා මේක අපි add කරොත් ඔන්න cart එකට add වුණා. හරි. So this data set still this does not have any value in it. මොකද මේක කාට් එකට data ටිකක් add වුණා විතරයි. ඉතින් මේ වගේ data set, since this website is like one and only Sri Lanka's tech site to buy camera. So because of that people, we have huge traffic here. And of course, people අර නිකන් ජොලියටත් එක්ක වගේ add to cart ගහන මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවා. මොකද මේ බටන් එක දැක්කම අර කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ වගේ ඔන්නෝක ඔබල මිනිස්සුත් ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒක වුණාම it automatically creates a massive data set so that at some point you have to manually clear it out. Okay, so that is where we have the deletion part comes into action. At the same time, අපි ආකයිවිං එකක් කතා කරමු. දැන් අපි මේක ගත්තොත් දැන් මම කලින් login වෙලානේ මම අරක cart එකට add කරේ. Earlier I was logged into the system when I added that item to the cart. So at that point, that particular data set should be archived, because at a certain point you can send an email, or email එකක් දාලා හරි message එකක් දාලා හරි customer ට කියන්න පුළුවන් මචං අන්න ඔය ගත්ත නැති බඩු ටිකක් තියෙනවා කාට් එකේ ඔන්නෝක අරන් දාමු. I hope you guys might have seen this, because if you shop on Amazon, obviously if you have logged into the system and if you add something to the cart and leave there for, let's say, about 2-3 days, you're going to get a mail saying, hey, we saw that there are some items in your cart. Why don't you check it out? You get that message. So in order to send that message, that type of information has to be saved in a proper place, or end of the day archived, so that you can collect it at some point when it is required. Okay, so I hope I explained this in a good way. Guys, please do like disturb me if you have any questions, and please do let me know if you don't understand something as well, because I'm not like the typical ICT lecture you're going to get, because I'm explaining it with using real world applications and real world examples. So it will be easy for you guys to understand the concepts behind it. After this, when you go through the exam paper, it's just a walk in a park. Literally, it's just a walk in a park, because you are writing this paper with the background knowledge of the entire system on how it works. So it's going to be really easy for you. Okay, so then we go to the next point. What is the next point? It is called data versus information. So here is what we discuss the differences between these two, and here's where we understand how to break this down. So let's explore the fascinating world of data and information. So you might have heard this term before, obviously, we went through it for about an hour right now, but exactly what's the difference between them? So in this section, we are going to understand the difference, and we are going to discuss about why we need to split this into two. Okay, so data and information. As I explained to you in the beginning before, data is like puzzle pieces, small pieces of a puzzle. And information is basically the completed puzzle. අර මගේ Facebook example එක මතක තියාගන්න බලන්න. එතකොට puzzle piece එකක් වෙන්නේ වාගේ photo එක. ඉතුරු pieces ටික වෙන්නේ location එකයි, tag කරපු එකයි, කාපු දීපු එකයි, description එකයි. අන්න ඒ ටික ආවම ඔන්න it's going to be a completed puzzle. Okay. So data is raw, unorganized, and numbers or symbols. And it's like a bunch of random pieces that don't make sense on their own. මම වගේ ෆොටෝ එක නිකන් තියෙනකොට ඒකේ කිසිම තේරුමක් නැහැ. මොකද data වල value බලනකොට කාටවත් තේරුමක් නැහැ. ඒක ඔයා organize කරොත් තමයි ඒක පිළිවෙලකට එන්නේ. So we'll see a small example. For example, think of a bunch of numbers. Let's say 5, 7, 3, 9, 2. They're just numbers floating around without any context, right? Context එකක් කියන්නේ ඒකට තියෙන background එකක් කියන එක. කොහොමද ඒක හැදිලා තිබුණේ? හරි. ඉතින් හැබැයි අපි අනිත් පැත්තට ගියොත් on the other hand, information is the meaning we derive from data. So it's like when we put the puzzle pieces together and when we see the big picture, information is organized, meaningful, and useful. අර මං කිව්වා වගේ දැන් කට්ටියත් එක්ක ගිහින් ෆොටෝ එක දාලා ඒක ටැග් කරලා ලොකේෂන් එක දාලා හොඳට හැදුවට පස්සේ නැත්තම් අපි එක්සැම්පල් එක මම අර සෙකන්ඩ් එක්සැම්පල් එක I said by creating a collage of pictures, collage with all the pictures of the trip, then that's going to give you a proper, organized, meaningful, and useful information where it will have your entire trip, right? Information කියන්නේ structure වෙච්ච හරියටම structure එකක් එක්ක තියෙන ලොකු picture එක වගේ තමයි මේකේ example එක හේතුව මම අපේ example එක. So it helps us understand something to make decision. because දැන් හිතන්න අපි අපේ ආයිමත් අපේ Facebook example එකට ගියොත් අපි ඒකේ ඒ ෆොටෝ එක දැක්කහම අපිටත් පුළුවන් decision එකක් ගන්න අම්මන්සලි මාර තැනකට ගියානේ මුන් හොඳට enjoy කරලා තිනවා මෙතන beach එකත් ලස්සනයි අපිත් යන්න ඕන තැනට. You never know, right? Like සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඔය Facebook influencers ලා කියලා කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා. So we have the social influencers. So what is their main purpose? What do? They go to a location. Let's say this food and hotel review person like this. So what they do is they go to a location. කෙල්ලෙක් නම් හොඳට පොඩ්ඩක් පේන අඳුමක් ගන්නකට ගිහිල්ලා ලස්සනට වීඩියෝ එකක් ගහලා හොඳට අර හරි පොෂ් විදියට කාලා ඔක්කොම ගල්ලා. So you create a nice sexy looking nice video and you post it into your social media. Simple as that. Then what happens? So that is a collection of data created into a video which is transferred to you or shared to you through the social media platform as information. අපි ඔන්න බලන් යනවා මේක උස්සනවා එයා ගිහිල්ලා නැතත් දැන් ඉතින් බලනවා දැන් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට කොල්ල ටික නම් බලන්න කෙල්ලගේ දිහා හැබැයි කෙල්ලගේ දිහා බැලුවට ඒ අතරතුරදී අපේ ඔළුවට යනවා මාර තැනක් වෙන්නේ මෙතන හොඳයි මේ හොටෙල් එක මාර ලස්සනයි මාරු පූල් එකක් තියෙනවා මරු ජොයින්ට් එක මැච් එකක් ගන්න මරු මේ පිච් එකක් ඔක්කොම දෙනවා නැත්නම් අඩේ මෙතන වොලිබෝල් උත් තියෙනවා අඩේ පූල් එක ගාව බාහිරකුත් තියෙනවා විපාක කෙසරකක් තියෙනවා ඩාන්ස් පාටි එකකුත් තියෙනවා අන්න ඔහොම ඒ මුළු ස්කෝප් එකම it's being transferred to you as information. So you like without knowingly you go through the feed and you watch that video and it automatically gives you a complete visual, a clear visualization about the entire hotel or whatever she's going to promote. ඒකනේ කොල්ලොන්ගේ social influence ලා හරියන්නේ නැත්නම් කොල්ල ගොඩක් කරන්නේ ටෙක් කියනම මනන් තමයි මොකද කොල්ලොන්ට තනක ගිහලා කතා කරනවා කඩ බොන මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවා කොල්ල ටික අපේ example එකකට බණ්ඩා වගේ අය හොඳට ගිහලා කනවා. So what they do is they go to a location where we have data. දැන් අපි එකත් example එකකට කතා කරමු එතකොට තව ටිකක් ඕනනම් තේරෙයි. Let's say if we take Banda, so Banda goes to a hotel and in that hotel you have data. Data කනවා නෙවෙයි මම කියන්නේ data තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඔන්න so he takes the menu has kottu, fried rice, seafood fried white rice or seafood platter or chicken platter, whatever the food item is there, he's going to read the menu. So that is raw data, right? In the menu what you have is data. It's not processed, it's data. Then what he does is he orders the data to be processed. Meaning again, මොකක්ද මේ කොත්තුවක් තියෙනවා අපි කමු කොත්තුව. දැන් තාම data තියෙනවා. So he orders the whatever the kottu meal. So when the meal comes and when he's explaining the meal, then what he does is he's processing the data as information. Meaning again, බාරෝ කොත්තුව මේක අයි තුන් දෙනෙකුට කන්න පුළුවන් මම ඒ තනියෙන් කනවා හැබැයි තුන් දෙනෙකුට කන්න හැකි මාරරයි This is one of the best kottu you can have in town. 3, 4 people can eat this and it's perfect. And you have the seafood, prawns, and chicken and whatnot, everything. So it basically creates. So it basically creates, he basically creates information using all those raw data. Correct. So I hope it's much clearer. So that is the difference between data and the information. So if we go back to our slide, so going back to our numbers, අපි කලින් කතා කරපු number sequence එකට ගියොත්, if we arrange them in order from smallest to the larger as 2, 3, 4, 7, 9, now we have some information that tells us the sequence of numbers. මේක හරිම simple example එකක් මම දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට examples ගොඩාක් කියලා දුන්නා. But this is the most simplest example which you can see with data, right? So we have few points to cover on. Data versus information. Data is the raw material and information is what we create from the raw material. Remember this term, sir? So this is really important. So you have to say, if somebody asks what is data, data is basically the raw material of what is there, and then information is what we create from using that raw material. Here are a few points to help you differentiate between data and information. So, number one, format. Data can be in different formats, as we discussed before, such as in numbers, text, images, or sound, and it's like having pieces of various pieces of a puzzle with different shapes and colors, right? Information, on the other hand, is usually presented in a more organized and understandable way. Simple. කොත්තුවයි මෙනු එකේ කොත්තුවයි පාට හම්බෙච්ච කොත්තුවයි. අපි ad එකක් දකින්න එකයි. දැන් අපි, let's say we see an advertisement on Facebook advertising a specific meal, but then you see the same specific meal through Banda's TV channel, YouTube channel, where he's going through it and he's eating it. So that means it's going to create the connection in between, so that it's more presented in a more organized and understandable way. Okay, and obviously, if it is raw data, like let's say numbers or some sort of text, it can be a graph or it is report, or it can be even a video that tells a story. And මම මේක තමයි ආවේ point එකට. Okay, so let's go to the next one. ඔන්න දැන් එනවා the important point, which is, now we get into the important point where we discuss about the context. So I already explained you guys what the context is. So the data without context is like random words without a soul. So this is the basic example I taught you guys. Just you need to go with the selfie posted on Facebook. නිකන් data දැම්මට වැඩක් නැහැ. context එක අහම තමයි ඒකට story එකකට add වෙන්නේ. So just like by uploading the picture, it doesn't give you any story. But when you have the context in it, then it will basically tell the story. So information provides the context so that it will add automatically the meaning to data. And information, it basically connects the dots and help us understand why the data is important and how it is related to a specific topic or situation. I hope you guys can understand this point as we went through this answer. Then we have purpose. Data is collected for a purpose, obviously, right? Such as can be research, analysis, or decision making, and all sorts of purposes can be there. And information serves the purpose of providing insight, knowledge, and answers. අපි මේක ආයෙ පොඩ්ඩක් කතා කරලා බලමු. දැන් data කියන්නේ data points, right? මම දැන් අර example එක පෙන්නුවා වගේ අපි shopping cart එකේ we go into the shopping cart and you add an item to the cart. So that's going to be data, right? So you can use this data to research or to analyze the behavior of users. අපි ආයේ example එකකට අපි ඒකට ගියොත් මේ site එකට ගියොත් අපි camera එකක් ගමු. අපි බලනවා camera එකේ අපිට මේ data වල අපි බලමු value එකකට හරවන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා. Let's see how data can be converted into information where you can get some value in it. So abandoned carts, as I told you guys before, people have, what we normally do is after a certain time period, we automatically delete the cart details if it does not have any user logged into the system, right? But now information like this is really valuable in capturing different types of insights. මං පෙන්නන්න මොකක්ද ඒකේ value එක තියෙන එක. දැන් හිතන්න, let's say if I'm logged in. Let's log into the site. Okay, so I'm logged into the website right now. දැන් බලමු මගේ ඔන්න දැන් ටග් ගාලා log වෙච්ච හැටි ඔන්න cart එකක් ආවා. Right? You guys can see that this is the item which I have added earlier before logging out from the system. Now, this data, right? This is still data because we have not processed it yet. But according to this, we can still use this data to research, analysis, and to make some decisions. Okay? So what are the decisions we can make just by going through this particular scenario? Now, let's say if I leave this item in my cart for, let's say, a month, what is the decision you can make through this particular action? මේ action එකෙන් දැන් මම මේ cart එකේ මේ item එක මාසයක් තිස්සේ තියෙන ඇරියොත් මේ action එකෙන් මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? මේ action එකෙන් ඔයාලට දැනගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ that I was interested in buying this, but then I changed my mind. Okay? And the information point එක. දැන් අපි decision එක ගන්න, in order to take that decision, we used data and then we use the information as well. So, මෙතන අපි ආයෙ slide එකට යන්න. So data is collected for a purpose such as research, analysis, or decision making. Then information serves the purpose of providing insight, answers, or knowledge. ඉතින් දැන් අපි මෙහෙම එකක් ගන්නවා. අපි ගන්නවා දැන් මේ data point එක ගන්න. So this is a data point. We added the product into the cart, and that's the data point. Then we create a report through the backend where all the users who have items in their cart which was there for the last 1 month, or let's say 3 months. In that report, ඒ කියන්නේ අපි report එකක් ගන්නවා, backend එකෙන් අපි report එකක් download කරනවා, මේ site එකේ login වෙලා usersලා cart එකට product එකකුත් add කරලා මාස 3ක් තිස්සේ cart එක complete කරපු නැහැ. Okay, I hope you understand the situation. So when you get that particular report, that falls under information. Because what you do is you process the internal data which you have about the cart and you put it out and you use that as an insight to answer your question. So when you get that insight out, then you can clearly understand there can be patterns. So let's see if අපි example එකකට ගමු ওই drone එකක් මොකක් හරි drone එකක් තියෙනවා අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් how many people, like if we take a drone as an example, we can actually find out how many people have added that particular drone into the cart and left it without purchasing or without completing the purchase for more than a month. හරි. ඔන්න දැන් ඒ data set එක ගන්නවා. මොකටද ඒ data set එක අරගෙන මොනවද කරන්නේ? ඕක තමයි ජොලි වෙන්නේ. Now, when we have that particular data set, now we know at some point in the past, that person wanted to buy a drone. So at least he was interested in buying a drone, right? We can't say he wanted to buy it, but at least when you click a cart add karan, that means he has some interest in purchasing or continuing to purchase that. ඔන්න ඔතන අපි කරන්නේ ඔය list එක අරගෙන now when there is an offer going on, now we can get that particular list and we can trigger an email or let's say some sort of a let's say SMS campaign, short messages campaign, to tell them, sir, you had added or you have shown interest to buy a drone, and now we have a drone offer. Now here we can say, now we have this offer where you get a discount, or where you have some sort of a certain type of a credit card offer. So why don't you complete the purchase? We can send this message to the customer. So that means what we did was we used the data which was collected and we processed it, and we used that as information so that we can get the insights of all the customers who can be willing to complete a purchase. Okay, I hope you guys got the point. මම explain කරපු විදිහට මම හිතනවා ඒක තේරුණා කියලා. අපි ඒ කියන්නේ මම practical scenario එකක් use කරේ. ඒක තමයි, so these are like multiple billions of scenarios which you guys have to pay as software engineers when you get into the field. So this is just something අපි හිතමු මේක නිකන් අර cream එක වගේ, ice cream අපි milkshake එකක cream එක වගේ. So what we just discussed. So we have a huge lot of different things which you need to make sure that when your application is on production, there are multiple things you have to fix. Okay, so with information, it helps us get a deeper understanding of the subject, or it helps us to make informed choices. එකතකින් අපිට information the deep understanding එක ගැඹුරින් ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් මොකද්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. නැත්නම් අනිත් පැත්තට මේකෙන් අපිට උදව් වෙනවා අපි ඉදිරියේදී කරන choices ගැන decision එකක් ගන්න. හිතන්න අපි අපි අපේ අනිත් example එකට choice එකක් කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම දැන් හිතන්නකෝ දැන් මේකේ තියෙනවා. So a choice is something similar to this. So if we go into this particular website, okay, so we have this red onions, අපේ රතු ලුණු එකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් මේ රතු ලුණු එක people have added to the cart. Let's say we take all the analytics of the people who has added this to the cart and who has not completed the purchase. එහෙම detail එකක් ගත්තා කියමුකෝ අපි මම මේ simple example එකක් කියන්නේ. හරි. දැන් ඔය ගත්තාම අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් රතු ලුණු විකිරෙන්නේ නැහැ. So you can take your other way around, you take your stock report, and when you go through your stock report, you tend to see some differences or a buying difference where you have a lot of stock with red onions, but people are not buying. හරි. දැන් කොහොමද බලන්නේ ඇයි මිනිස්සු බයික ගන්න නැත්තේ කියලා. ඕක හොයන්න පුළුවන්. Now you want to know why people don't basically buy it, right? You can basically contact the development team and you can ask them, okay guys, I need a report of all the users who have clicked on add to cart button on the add to cart button on red onion, this red onion product, and I want to find out why they have cancelled it. ඔය මම අන්තව පොඩි පොයින්ට් එකක් කියන්න මේ shopping cart වල තියෙන case එක. So usually shopping carts, it's hard to see the total price on the product view itself. හරි මෙහෙමයි. දැන් ඕගොල්ලන් A-level කරන students ලා නේ, you guys are doing A-level. So you guys obviously, I assume, in good in mathematics, right? Like එකයි දශම එකයි ආවොත් කීයද එන්නේ කියන එක ඕගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන්. ඕගොල්ලන් දැන් පොඩිනේ, so you know how to do the math and you know how to do the calculation. When you see that, ඕගොල්ලන් දන්නවා කොහොමද යන්නේ කියලා. Typical මනුස්සයා ගත්තහම, now I'm talking to you guys with almost 20 years of field experience with going through these type of crazy scenarios. Okay, so people are so lazy. මිනිස්සු කොච්චර කම්මැලිද කිව්වොත් they don't want to calculate it. හරි, what they do is, දැන් රතුළු වෙන කිලෝ එකක් ඕනේ කිව්වොත්, දැන් මේක දැක්ක හැටි පේනවනේ මෙතන කිලෝ එක, දැන් මේ 500 එකයි 15යි නම් කිලෝ එක කීයද කියලා හිතා ගන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මිනිස්සු කරන වැඩේ, they add it to the cart and they click on the plus button just to find out how much it is. Trust me, that's the typical mentality of a person who is going to buy something. I know you guys are like still fresh, so you do mathematics and you came after O-levels and all, so you have a fresh mind, so you guys can easily do the math like this. But the normal person will obviously wait until they complete this and then only you can go through. ඉතින් අපි යන් අපේ මම කලින් explain කරපු point එකට. දැන් මෙතන පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා මේ data representation එක නිසා. Sometimes people want to check the price by increasing the quantity, and then when they see this price, they become reluctant to purchase it. So either these workers leave it on the cart or they remove it from the cart. Like this. Unmade data point. That particular data point, what we do is we capture that. Once we capture that particular data point, now we can give a report to the customer saying that මේ තමසගේ ලූණු විකුණන්න බෑ මේ ගානට, මේක තව ගාන අඩු කරපන්. මොකද මිනිස්සු ගණන් වැඩි කර බලලා හැමෝම left it off system. People say that. So we can come to a conclusion that either this is too expensive or people really don't want to buy his red onion. රතුරුණු ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඉතින් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට නම් red onion is something similar, something stapled. Sorry, the word is stapled. Stapled at almost all the households, right? අපි කොහොම යන්න ගත්තත් අපේ අම්මලා තාත්තලා ලුණු දානවා කියන එක කොහොමද දාන දෙයක්, අපි උනත් දානවා පිටරටවලත් දානවා. So that means the demand is there. ඒ කියන්නේ ඉල්ලුම තියෙනවා, but if they are not continuing with the purchase, then that means it should be something to do with the price. Controversial, මොකක් හරි price එකකට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්න ඕන. ඉතින් you can get that deep understanding by processing your data into information. Okay, so I hope you guys have a clear cut understanding what the difference between these two. Okay, so then transformation is something similar to converting data or transforming data in order to process it and in order to change it. In the sense, now data can be transformed into information through processing and analysis. That is something we know. So just like when you take the puzzle pieces and assemble them into create a beautiful picture, processing data involves organizing, sorting, and interpreting it into generate meaningful information. So based on the similar to my previous example, transforming කියන්නේ අපි අරක තියෙන data ටික අරගෙන ඒක අපි වෙනස් කරනවා information වලට organized manner. So let's say if we get a full data set of a simple database, what you will see is just some typical plain old information, right? But If you organize that in a particular manner, then if you convert this into a report or something, then of course that will be some meaningful information. So in order to do that, you obviously need to transform it. So we went through the purpose and now we went through transformation. So remember, just to revise your memory again. So remember, data is just the raw material and information is what we create from that raw material. So it's like building up a complete piece, masterpiece together. Okay. So now next time when you come across data, think about how it can be transformed into valuable information and help us understand the world in a whole new way. ඊළඟ පාර ෆොටෝ එකක් දාලා Facebook එකේ අප්ලෝඩ් කරනකොට remember to tag yourself or remember to at least tag the location so that data can be used as information for someone. Okay. So that's it for data versus information. Now we get into the definition of information part where we discuss how information will unlock the ability to explore the data and the processed information for the future and towards unlocking the required knowledge. Okay, so we have got into the so we are in the fourth point, so we can go through it. So the definition. So the definition of information. Information is all stuff we learn and discover that helps us make sense of the world around. So it's like having answers to the questions we have. Other way around. Imagine you're trying to find out the weather for tomorrow. The temperature, chance of rain, and wind speeds are all pieces of information that can help you decide what to wear or if you should bring an umbrella when you're going out. So, ඔලුවට දාගන්න හරියට dataයි දැන් අපි temperature කියන්නේ and chances of rain කියන්නේ data නෙවෙයි. Then chances of rain කියන එක ගන්න in order to find out what is the chance of rain, you need to analyze a massive lot of data points and create a prediction engine. Using a prediction engine, or we also call it as a prediction transformer, then we transform that into information. So the temperature, chance of rain, all these are different small points of information where it will literally give you an idea on how to or on what to do on proceeding forward with your day-to-day activities. So getting to the next one. So let's go in depth and see. So information comes in many forms. It can be facts, ideas, opinions, or even obviously stories. When we read a book or watch a documentary or browse the internet, what we do is we are soaking up information that expands our knowledge. When you can TikTok expanded their knowledge again, just make sure that you watch some educational stuff, then of course it will expand your knowledge. Right? Okay. So it's like having a toolbox, big toolbox filled with different types of tools, and you're trying to understand it so that you can navigate the world using that toolbox. So one important aspect of information that it is organized and it is meaningful, right? So like as a well-arranged bookshelf where each book has a specific place, imagine trying to find information about a specific animal in a library. So you all might have visited a library at some point, right? සමහර අය පාඩම් කරන්න යන ඇති library එකට හැමෝම කියලා තියෙනවානේ. library එකට ගිහිල්ලා ඔයා library එකෙන් අහන්න මොකක් හරි පොතක නමක්. So you go to the library and you ask the librarian about a specific name of a book or a specific name of an author and ask he or her on how to find it. Obviously, then all the books are arranged in a specific order. ඔක්කොම පොට්ටික arrange කරලා තියෙන්නේ එක specific order එකකට නිසා she will easily tell you, okay, let's go to this aisle and you can find that book there. Simple as that. එයා ගාව list එක තියෙනවනේ. එයා දන්නවා හරි ඒ වලින් පටන් ගන්න authors ලගේ පොත් ටික තියෙන මෙන්න මේ list එකේ. මෙන්න මේ location. පාට එක කියනවා. So if the books are organized by topic, it will be much easier to locate the information that you need. If you go to a big library, obviously books are like either it's organized based on the writer or it's organized based on the topic. So let's say if it is something to do with management, then it will be under management. If it is something to do with IT, then there's going to be a dedicated section for IT. And if it is some sort of an art subject, like how to learn how to play a guitar or learn how to play a violin, so that is going to be in a different section called music, and likewise. So because it is organized, it's basically a set of information so that you can consume. So information is also shared between people. As we know, we communicate and exchange information through conversations. So this is also an information sharing session where I share my knowledge with you guys so that we get our knowledge expanded based on the topics we are discussing. So sharing information helps us connect with each other, learn different perspectives, and build a broader understanding of the world we live in. So long time ago, not like very long time ago, let's say about 20 years ago, the world was like really different because we did not we කියන්නේ අපි මම කියන්නේ මේ ලංකාවේ න පිටරටවල තිබුණා ලංකාවේ නැහැ. So we did not had any cable TV, we didn't had any internet was there, but slow, very slow, but internet was obviously there. But when it comes to this cable TV and all these digital services, we didn't had any of these. So literally so I was lucky enough to go through the early stages of online gaming. So we installed VPNs, VPN software, some like Hamachi, and we created our own networks and we played online. Then online play karanga games in there. We played World of Warcraft, Counter Strike, and all these type of games. So back in the day, it was like totally different. But now, with the internet, everything is extremely fast and we can communicate with almost everybody in the world in split seconds. So because of that reason, information is being traveled or information is being shared throughout the entire world. So it gives us a good understanding on how the world works as we live in. So remember, all information is not equal as well. Some information is reliable and accurate, while others may be misleading or false. අපේ ලංකාවේ නිවුස් අනිවාර්යෙන් කිව්වොත් අපි ඒක සෑහෙන පරිස්සමින් අහන්න ඕනේ because 99% of the time it can be some politically influenced or can be some false news telling or recorded just for the sake of getting the views and just for the sake of selling their advertisements. Okay, so that means you just need to make sure that information can be misleading as well. So you need to evaluate it and see how proper it is and it's been coming from a specific source. So first of all, you need to evaluate the source of information, because when somebody is providing you some information, you have to make sure that what is being provided to you is correct and there is some sort of a credible person behind it. Example, now I'm doing this lecture and you guys are listening to this and we are going through this particular slide. So Now, you guys have joined this call, or you are watching this on YouTube, because there is a certain credibility about myself. So you have some knowledge about who I am, and you will be watching this because you trust what I'm telling you, and you trust that what I'm explaining is correct, or you trust that I'm going to take you guys to a better place by teaching you the actual things about ICT, something like that. But at the same time, now let's say if we take somebody who is just අපේ පාරුඩ කඩේ මුදලාලිය ගමක මිනිහා ඇවිල්ලා ආට කියනවා පුතා මෙහෙමයි ඔයා මේ ICT කරනවා නම් මෙහෙමයි කරන්න ඕනේ ඔයා එක එක ඒවා කරන්න බෑ එහෙම කියනවා දැන් he is a full bana sermon explaining how to do ICT. Whose information will you take as reliable? It's simple as that, right? Or take it, you have the capacity to differentiate these two, and then you have the capacity to understand now, okay, this guy is bluffing and this guy is telling the truth. Likewise. So it's essential to evaluate the source of the information as well as checking for the facts and evidence. That is also something really important. Facts and evidence. ICT example like that. So now you guys can basically check my background. You can search for my name. You can just search as and you can go through all the places which I have worked at. You can go through the profiles and you can do a fact check, as well as you guys are able to find evidence and projects and details about this particular information source, right? That has to be evaluated as well. Like when that is evaluated, you can rest assured that the information what you get is true. That's why most of these stupid TV news carriers play around with people where they basically, when they say something like, I'm not going to use any names, I'm not going to explain with any names of them, but there are like popular TV channels who has a good respect for them, and when they tell you a news or when they share some information, you tend to trust it, right? So sometimes these people misuse it a lot. So that is something which we see most of the time. And the problem is like when you're processing information, still you need to have that capacity to understand and evaluate it by trying to do a fact check and trying to find the evidence in order to make sure that your information is correct. But if we take this news example, still we know that people does not have the particular capacity to do as such, right? So then they believe whatever these others tell or teach. Okay. So remember, when you get information, of course, you need to make sure the source is valid, and you need to evaluate and you need to check for evidence and facts before accepting anything. We will obviously just keep this particular slide in mind, guys. So when we go through the server-side this development part with Python and PHP and with HTML and JavaScript and all, these points will be evaluated. So these points are really important when we get into that point, because when we take some data into our system, we need to validate the data, validate the source, evaluate it, and check if the facts are correct, and check if the evidence is there to back it up. In the sense, let's say if it's a form submission, the form submission should have a valid source, should have some data, and so on and so forth. So it's a big thing. We have a couple of modules to go before we get to that. But I hope you guys got the big picture. So that's the reason we learn this. මේ ඔක්කොම ඉගෙන ගන්න හේතුව අපි application එකක් හදනකොට මේ points මාර important. මේක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඔයගලන්ට දැනගන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ ඔයගලන් වැඩට යනකම්. Literally ඒ කියන්නේ job එකක් කරනකම් මේක දැනගන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. So that's why I'm explaining you guys now so that if you when you guys come to the market, when you guys start working as an engineer, a software engineer, we don't have to teach you this back again. So you will already know what this is. So keep this in mind. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Then, so information is like a precious trove. So remember, of knowledge that helps us understand, learn, and explore the world. So it unlocks our curiosity and allows us to grow intellectually. So keep seeking information, ask questions, and explore new ideas. So that's the basic thing I need to tell. So here the reason this word is there is actually because of a specific reason. Right? So you have to always keep on seeking information in the sense. අපි නිකන් ගමු mobile app එකක්. Let's just take a simple mobile app. Every year, Apple and Google releases two different updates to their platforms. Apple එකෙන් iOS update එකක් එනවා, Google එකෙන් Android update එකක් එනවා. එකම ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ මේ Android update එක අහම when this Android update is released, that is not directly being consumed or that is not directly being supported by Google because Google is the person who is in charge of building the Android operating system. Google තමයි Android operating system එක හදන්නේ. But the hardware is being manufactured by someone else, right? එතකොට ඒක Samsung හදනවා, Xiaomi හදනවා, ඉන්න ඔක්කොම hardware manufacturers හදනවා. So what they do is they get the operating system and build the hardware. Okay, let's get back to the point. The reason I mentioned that keep seeking information. හිතන්න ඔයගලන්ට mobile developer කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා. අනිවාර්යෙන් there are two events which a mobile developer must attend. One is Google I/O and the other one is WWDC, where Worldwide Developer Conference of Apple. Google I/O නම් දැන් ඉවරයි. WWDC එක ජූන් වල එනවා. ඉතින් ඕවට යන්න ඕනේ because you need to keep seeking information මොකද අපි ඉන්නේ මේ චූටි රටක අපිට information එන්න ගොඩක් වෙලා යනවා. ඔයා හෙව්වේ නැත්නම් මේ information හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ලංකාව IT oriented රටක් නෙමෙයි. ලංකාවේ ඇත්තටම අපි ලංකාවේ YouTubers ගත්තා tech පැත්තට ගොඩක් බර YouTubers ලංකාවේ නැහැ compared to other countries. The reason is we get everything at least couple of months after that is being released in other countries. Then example එකට YouTube එකේ ඉන්න MKBHD in a network එක. So MKBHD basically gets the hardware right at the time, right before it's like officially launched even. So basically Samsung sends all the phones to him to review and to keep it with him. So at the point of launch, then he can put his video out. So that's the reason immediately when a new mobile phone is released, there's a video from MKBHD. Meaning record කරලා දානවා. So these guys are like really up to date with all the technologies. So you as a person, you have to always be seeking information, especially when it comes to the IT industry, so that you can gain your knowledge. At the other way around, mobile එක කිව්වේ mobile version release කරන නිසා හැම අවුරුද්දෙම a new version is being released every year within a certain time period. You need to, as a mobile developer, obviously you have to go through it and you have to like deeply understand what are the new changes they have done so that you can implement it in your new versions. So ask questions, explore new ideas. Obviously that's the only way to grow. Okay, the topic before the last one, characteristics of information. So we basically discussed almost all the points here. So we'll go through the list and we'll see what What are the characteristics? So information has to be timeliness. So valuable information is likely like the latest update on your favorite social media. So information needs to have a value. මං කලින් example එක කියවගේ. ඔය WWDC නැත්නම් Google I/O ඕකට යන්න ඕනේ. මොකද when you learn that information දැන් හිතන්නකෝ මේ පාර Google එකේ they release a new platform. ඔයා ඕක ඉගෙන ගන්න ඊළඟ අවුරුද්ද කියලා. No point, right? There is no value in that particular information. So obviously, information has to be perfectly timed. So timeliness means the information is current and relevant to the topic or to the situation you are exploring. Example, like then we can take a trip back and so we go on trip during the weekend. So you want to stay at a hotel in Candy. So when you open up a website, and when you look at the pricing per room per night, what happens if you see a pricing which was added 2 years ago? There's no value in that information, right? What you want is you need today's pricing or the pricing for that particular day which you will be spending your time there at the hotel. Simple as that. So remember, timeliness has to be there when it comes to set of information. So just like getting the latest news about your favorite band or sport event, timely information will help you stay in the loop to make more informed decisions. Then accuracy, like as we explained before, there has to be an accuracy so that it can be correct, reliable, and it can be free from errors. Whatever you do, it should be accurate. So it's like having the right answer to a math problem or knowing that the fact you found on a book or website is factual. අපි මොකක් කරේ තැනකින් බලනකොට ඔයාට ආන්සර් එක හරි කියලා දන්නවා වගේ නැත්නම් ඔය වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් ගන්නවා නම් ඒ ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් එක හරි කියලා තේරෙනවා. ඒ තමයි accuracy. Okay, and then presented within the context. So valuable information is like reading a story where everything makes sense. It's presented with the context that helps you understand the bigger picture. If we go back to our Facebook example, this is the same thing. So when the information is presented, it should be given out with a specific context. So that it's like having the necessary background information to fully understand the main more joke. කලින් කිව්වා වගේ දැන් එල කියන වචනේ context එකක් නැතුව දැන් ඔයා පාර යනකොට එල කියොත් වටේ මිනිස්සු බලන උඩ පිස්සුද කියලා. හැබැයි පාරේ එක කතා කරන ගමන් දැන් කවුරුද කියනවා මචං කොහමද කියන්නේ ඔයා කෑ ගහලා එල කියලා කිව්වොත් එහෙම. අන්න දැන් අරු question එකක් ඇහුවනේ උන් context එකක් දුන්නනේ. So he given you a context and you gave him a data set. And the context and the data became information. අරු බලනවා විශ්වද කියලා ඒ පාරේ මේ උන්ට එල ගියේ කියන්නේ ඒක වෙන කතාවක්. හැබැයි I hope you guys got the point, right? Okay, next. Enhance understandability. So valuable information is like a teacher who explains complex ideas in an easy way to understand. Similar to what I'm trying to do right now. One slide became make a kella, then I use some sort of a different way so that explain it in a different way so that you guys can understand and remember what I explained. So it should be presented in a clear and a simple manner using language and example that make sense to you. It's the same thing which we are going through right now. දන්න භාෂාවෙන් දන්න විදියට කොහොම හරි අර වීඩියෝ එකක් එක්ස්ප්ලেইন වුණාම අන්න ඔක උඩට යනට අග්ගාලා. So just like your favorite YouTube tutorial that breaks down a complicated video game level, valuable information so that you can grasp concepts without feeling overwhelmed. Exams down. I'm not sure whether we have in gamers here, but if you play games on PS, so I'm a PlayStation gamer, hardcore PlayStation gamer for a long time. So There are some times where you get stuck in a specific level and you don't know how to get out of that level. Then obviously you will. There are chances which I had to face as well, where I searched that on YouTube and how to play this level, and it shows me a breakdown on exactly where to go, which button to push, which ledge to jump onto, and so forth. So it's like enhanced understanding. So if I read a specific set of data points saying go here, turn left, turn right, something like that, then obviously it will be hard for me to understand. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Then less uncertain. So valuable information is like a readable map where it guides you on a new adventure. It reduces uncertainty by providing evidence and well-supported conclusions. So it helps you make decisions or form opinions based on a solid information rather than guesswork. Or make explain කරනවා තියෙනවා. Less uncertainty කියන්නේ අපි information එක දැක්කහම අපිට clear අපිට පොඩි සැකයක් එනවා මේක හරිද කියලා. දැන් හිතන්න for an example, you open up your Google Maps and you tend to go to a specific location. So location එකේ යන ගමන් ඔයාට එන හැකියාවක් වෙනවා මේ මූ හරි පාරක මාව එක්කගෙන. මොකද්ද මේක වෙලා? ඔයාට හිතන්නකෝ ඔයගලන්ට data set එක හරියට පේන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. Just think that the Google map is not clear enough and you can't exactly see the path which that person is traveling and so on and so forth. So then you will feel this uneasiness because you are uncertain whether you will be able to go to that particular location by using this map, right? So you get into a kind of like a mixed situation where you will think, okay, can I do this or not? So information cannot be like that. If you are providing some specific information, you have to provide facts and evidence so that that information is clear and whomever is going to consume it will be able to go through it. Okay, so that's about casualties of information. I hope you guys have a clear understanding, got a clear understanding. Please do send me a message on either on WhatsApp or on any of the social media platforms. So if you have any questions, so if you want me to explain something more, obviously let me know, and I'll take you guys through. Okay, so we are in our final last leg for today's lecture, where we'll learn how to handle large data, which is also known as big data. Okay, so guys, big data is not something which you can learn from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slides. Big data කියන එක ලොකු area එකක්. අපිට A level වල අපි කතා කරන්නේ හරිම පොඩි shorty part එකක්. We only discuss a small miniature part in A level, but big data is basically has a big picture with all the latest technologies and all. So I will obviously take you guys through big data and databases and how this works when we are going through the SQL module, so that I will teach you guys how the data systems work, as well as we will try out some Amazon AWS web services where I will show you guys how you can utilize databases and how these databases are used to create huge data loads, which is also known as big data, so that you guys will get a clear understanding on how this works. So, super. So we are just scratching the surface about big data right at this point, but we will see what it is. So, what is big data? How to handle large data sets. So first of all, you need to have a specific method of organizing and categorizing. So handling large data is like cleaning up your messy room. So you need to organize and categorize the data to make it more manageable. හිතන්නකෝ ඔයගලගේ කාමරයක් කරනවා කියලා. ඔයාලගේ කාමරේ දැන් බිම වැටලා තියෙනවා එක එක ඒවා තියෙනවා පැන්සල් තියෙනවා පොත් තියෙනවා සෙල්ලම් බඩුවක් තියෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ. අපි හිතමු ඔයගොල්ලෝ මල්ලි කෙනෙක් ගැන නවි කෙනෙක් ගැන කාමරයක් අස් කරනවා වගේ. ඔන්න තැනක තියෙනවා බෝඩි කික් කරලා. And at a certain place, if they are playing with Lego, then of course they will have Lego pieces. Books will be there, textbooks will be there, and clothes will be there. Clothes you wear to school will be there, right? School uniforms will be there, so and so forth. So it's going to be a big messy room, right? So what you do is you categorize this all data set into a more manageable way. So let's say if you get the task to do this, what you can do is you can take a couple of boxes and write on those boxes, you can write as toys and book and clothes, and you can basically categorize it into different blocks. So when the time arrives to retrieve this, obviously you can easily go out and get the block or the box with all its data or with all its toys, right? So what you do is you basically take everything and you break it down into small chunks or by category, so that it will help you sort your clothes or by sort your video games by the collection of the games genre. Okay, genre කියන්නේ category. ඒකේ තියෙන ජාතිය. හරි. ඒ වගේ categorize කරන්න පුළුවන්. Then this way you can find out what you need quickly and avoid feeling overwhelmed. හිතන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ movie collection එකක් තියෙනවා ගෙදර. ඒතකොට movie collection එක අපිට දාන්න ඕනේ වෙන වෙනම folders වලට. ඉතින් අපි දානවා action movies, family movies, teenage movies. කොහොම categories වලට කඩලා දානවා. දැම්මාම මොකද්ද දැන් කවුරුහරි ඇවිල්ලා අහනවා අපි action film එක බලමුකට. Okay, or you open up the action movies folder and you can see all the action movies you have in one folder, in one location. So it's simple, straightforward. You can organize it. Okay, so obviously it has to be organized and properly categorized. Then the use of technology tools. So this where, as I said, we are just scratching the surface, because big data or handling large data has a vast array of technology tools which we can use, which will give you extreme levels of control and access, and it will help you visualize your data in a proper way, so that it will, end of the day, will give you a meaningful idea about all the data you have. So usage of tools. Then summarize and extract key information. So obviously large data sets are large, like giant novels with lots of chapters. It's a novel chapters on the academic. Right? To handle them effectively, you have to focus on a specific point, and you have to create another, in technical terms, it's called another index. අපි කරන්නේ main data ටික අරගෙන ඒකෙන් අපි හදාගන්නවා sub index එකක්, reference එකක් දාලා මේ මෙයාව තමයි මේ අපි මෙතන පෙන්නන්නේ. So when we do that, it will automatically build us a summarized set of information, so that you can refer and connect to whatever the primary information set you have in the database. Okay, so that is how it typically works. So summarizing and extracting key information would be one of the most important things when it comes to handling big data or large data. Then collaborate and share. When handling large data, it's like being part of a team project, because you need to collaborate the data. Because let's say අපි example එකට ගමු මෙහෙම එකක්. Recently I went to renew my driving license. So when I went there, so before you renew your license, you have to go to this medical place to get the medical certificate. So when I went there, and I was surprised to see this, but it's really good because Sri Lanka is evolving and we are going in a good direction. Because when that lady, that there was a lady doctor who basically signed my medical certificate. So after signing my medical certificate, she took the other person's medical certificate and directly asked him, "Is your court case over?" කෙලින්ම අහලා සිංහලෙන් ඇහුවේ නඩුව ඉවරද කියලා. And I was like really surprised. I was wondering how he knew that person was going through a court case. අර මනුස්සයාත් පොල් මංගලාගෙන මිනිහත් කට අරගෙන බලන්න දැන් කවුද මේ කවුද කෝට් නඩුවක් කොහෙන්ද මෙතන නැදලා then he smiled and then she said that අපිට ඔක්කොම පේනවා මේ ඔය data ඔක්කොම මේ ඕගලන්ගේ විස්තර ඔක්කොම share වෙලා තියෙන්නේ අපිටත් මේ ඔක්කොම පේනවා. I was really surprised and I was actually really happy to see that because apparently the court systems, police and revenue license and vehicle license and NIT, everything is actually interconnected with some network. We don't know, and it was not publicly done even. I don't know when it was deployed. So there is some information where they get some specific details about the history. So my point is, when we have a huge data set, obviously it should be shareable. නැත්නම් හිතන්න අපි medical report එක දෙන තැන data set එක අනිත් එක්කෙනාට share වුනේ නැත්නම්, if the data was not shared with another location, then what's the point of saving it, right? What's the point of having a large data set if that data is not being shared with someone else? People like that. So when you create a big large, or when you're handling a large data set, you need to make sure that data is properly shareable and people should be able to collaborate and work. Next part. Handling large data, stay curious and ask questions. So this is the same thing which I explained before. We have to understand what type of information which is required and what type of patterns we see in it, so that we can get the insights of what information which will be saved. And then practice data ethics. So this is also a point. Handling large data comes with responsibilities, just like being a good citizen, because large data points need to have privacy and confidentiality points, as well as when you're working with personal and private data, you have to make sure that there is an ethical part behind this. So it will give you it will ensure that your actions will have a positive impact towards the future and towards your application you build. So that's about large data and the big data part. So guys, thank you. Thanks for attending today's session. And next week, we will be going through the next part, which will be investigating the need of technology to create and disseminate and manage data and information, where we will be discussing on what are the types of data and what are the types of manipulation and changes which we do with data, and we will go through that particular part. So, and once all these are done, I will take you guys through a couple of exam questions so that we can close this chapter, and then we can get back to the exam questions when we are going through the revision sessions next year. So that's the plan so far, and that's how it's going to go forward. And do you guys have any questions? Okay, so if there's no questions, we'll wrap up the session for today and we'll get back next week. And Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for attending. Catch you guys next week. See you guys. Bye. Good night.